Coach, thanks for popping on for a few. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well, we got to commend you because it seems like you guys called a little bit of an audible after the start in those first 3 drives on Saturday, and you said, you know what, this wasn't quite good enough, and we want a little bit more work out of our first team. I love that you sent Caleb back out there. Did you kind of what was the plan going in? Did you really change it up on the fly? Can you kind of let us inside a little bit, if you can, on how you decided to let a lot of the starters, including your young quarterback, play that first half?
Yeah, I think it's, when you're doing preseason reps, I believe that the best way to do it, my history has been to do pitch counts. You don't do quarter, you don't do all that. You have a range of plays that you want guys to hit. And, obviously everybody knows we went 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. We had 9 plays. So that was under our pitch count that we wanted to have. So we just kept putting them out there until we reached that range of plays that we thought were good for the Caleb and the one offense. So, and that's really for every player. That's why you saw some players exit before that time. And that's really how we do it.
Have you been pleased with the overall sort of smoothness of things? I know there was the false start penalty after the big after the PI flag, and you certainly don't want things like that when you get down inside the red zone. But other than that, especially with Caleb and the starters, I think it's 7 total series. Pre-snap it seems mostly clean. Have you been pleased with the operation?
Yeah, that's the number one thing in quarterbacking, right? Get in and out of the huddle, communicate well, get to the line, make your adjustments there, be good in your cadence, so the offensive line's all settled there, and use that as a weapon when you need to. And he's been pretty good with that. And that's been a growing process, right? That didn't start, it happened in these first 2 games. It's been a process to practice and reps and getting continuity and chemistry with the offense and with the offensive staff as well. So it's been a process all the way through, and he's right where he needs to be.
How's Caleb handling the progressions going through the routes when he drops back?
Yeah, good. I think he's doing a nice job. As we put new concepts and put, a little bit more window dressing on certain things, obviously they adjust a little bit and certainly adjust by the coverage contours that he's presented during that particular play. So we think he's really doing well in that regard.
I mean, you guys spent so much time with him this offseason, leading up to the draft. So you already had a pretty, good familiarity of him. But is he, I don't know, has anything even impressed you more? Attitudes any way changed now that you are so deep into this process here with OTAs and to where we are through the exhibition season so far, just as you've gotten to know him and watch him work?
Yeah, I just think with his preparation, and he's really doing a good job with that. He always plays with great passion. You can start to see the confidence, and he's starting to really understand the nuances of the routes and the offense in general. So you can see him talking to other players and really trying to figure out the details of how this particular player runs this particular route and the details of all the motions, when to snap it and when to do those things. So I can just feel that in the offense being more comfortable being together.
The one thing that'll help Caleb Williams in the offense and everything you've got going on is that offensive line being able to do their job the way it needs to be done. Is it just me, or does he seem to be under duress a lot?
No, I would not. Yeah, I think it's just you.
Or is he just moving? I think or is it maybe he's just so nifty in the pocket that it looks like he's moving this and that, but he's just trying to find himself a comfortable place in the pocket?
Yeah, I think the last thing you saw of him was that, so that's kind of a last impression. But, him moving around in the pocket, scoring, running for a touchdown, him moving around the pocket and throwing it to Rome in the corner there. So that's what he can do.
Yeah.
And some of those are during those moments when you can do that. In the red zone, 4-point plays, all the things that you can do during that, the X factor part of it. And then, but for the most part, it's been rhythm, timing's been good, and it's been good that way.
Has Nate Davis gotten the message?
Nate Davis played well during the last game, and he's been in there at practice. So again, he's just got to stay on his health, stay on the prehab and the rehab and making sure he's good that way.
There's still a competition happening at right guard, would you say?
We're still looking at everything, the guards in the center, the inside part, like I've talked about probably last week at some point. We're still looking at all those things, and we'll solidify those things as we go.
How do we feel at the defensive end position opposite of Montez Sweat?
Yeah.
We got a good, comfortable feeling of what we have in-house.
I do have a good, comfortable feeling there. Dom's really had a good camp. Austin's really had a good camp. Walker really had a good showing yesterday, and he's had a good camp as well. So we got a complement of guys that have different skill sets that can bring different things. But again, you're always looking, the roster's never final. It's always changing and adjusting, and we're always looking to improve our football team.
I know he was on your practice squad last year. You guys have some familiarity again, but like Daniel Hardy seems like he's making a push to make this team. Would you agree?
He's done a really nice job. He's a great effort player, plays with great intensity, and he's done a really nice job this camp.
How do you break down is it 24 defensive players? Is that what you get to keep on that side of the ball? Is there a little nuance there?
There is
25, maybe sometimes down to 23.
You can push the number up and down a little bit based on what your roster looks like. But again, it's harder this year because we do have a more depth. It's harder to make those decisions. And Ryan and I talked about that the other day, and we know we're getting close to it. And those decisions are going to be hard. And it's really based on performance, and also based on fit. What fits best for us this year.
Is your special teams coach there fighting for guys at the end of it all?
Absolutely.
Because he knows who can and who can't play.
Yeah. Hightower's great. We're always, communicating that. We have a personnel meeting every day off that we have. And we talk, we're probably in there for over an hour and a half, talking about each guy, how they performed in that particular stack of practices. And then really going forward, who's going to be on the active and who's going to be on the P squad and all that. So we've been working through that. And again, it's not final yet. We're still working through it.
Bears head coach Matt Eberflus is our guest. Carmen and York on ESPN Chicago. I know there's some limitations what you can do in camp just because of collective bargaining rules and things like that. But this camp seems to have a little bit of a different pace to it, maybe even a little bit more intensity. The way you've handled some of these exhibition games, these last two, getting the starters some good run. Was this like a self-scout that you did coming off of last year and thinking about how camp went and then the slow start in September? I mean, how did it evolve to this point where this seems to be a slightly more intense training camp?
Yeah, I think as a head football coach and as a staff, working with everybody, you're always looking to adjust and adapt to make it better. And you always look back and you do these after action reports that, how do we start this game? How do we start the season? And we do those with the draft. We do it with every single thing we do. And you look at that and try to improve. And that's what I think we did. We spent a lot of time on this, and it really comes down to what's best for the quarterback. Not only our team, that's number one, but there's also the same question is what's best for the quarterback, to develop him, to get him ready to go, to learn a new system, and to be at the best spot he can be in going into the first game. And I've said it, a couple of times that a really good spot for him is when everybody else around him plays well. It's hard enough to play the quarterback position in the NFL. It's the hardest position in sport, and we got to play well around him. When something does happen, he goes 3 and out a couple of times, whatever, we just got to play well around him during that time because he is a talent and he's going to get going at some point.
Starters getting a rest on Thursday?
We'll see. We'll make that announcement here shortly. Don't have a bunch of time to make that decision, but we'll see. We're still looking at it. We got to have a couple good practices here before that, and then we'll go.
Is it weird having the 17 days from this Thursday to the Sunday? I mean, that's a long time not to play a competitive football game.
Yeah, it is. It is a long time, but what you got to do is you got to really do a good job of keeping the guys' conditioning level up, keep their fundamentals sharp in terms of the drill work and the stuff that you do, and keep them healthy. Those are 3 things that you must do to be ready for the first game.
You're going to definitely call plays again when the regular season starts on defense?
Yes, I'll definitely call plays.
And what was that like last year? Having to kind of do it when you weren't expecting it. All of a sudden, you're very early in the season. Now, you've done it before, but still, there are so many other responsibilities that you have as a head coach, and to all of a sudden have to go into that. Did it come back pretty naturally? Did you realize at some point, like, hey, I still like this, I'm good at it, and I can do both, and that's why you're going to do it this year?
Yeah, I think it was actually a good thing because, the first year, I just did the head coach,
right.
and I obviously chime in for offense and defense like I do, but, then you learn that whole management side of it. I think it was really a blessing actually to be able to do that for 1 year, and it was really easy to transition to year 2 once I got the call again. It was easy to do both jobs, easier. And, so now I feel real comfortable with that, and we're in a good spot.
2 weeks of Hard Knocks have been out. What do you think about it? Has it been good for you guys? Has something surprised you that's come out? Or do you guys?
No, it's been good. I will say that the Hard Knocks crew does a wonderful job of terms of staying in the background, not really being in the way, and you really hardly notice them. Once you get used to having a mic on all the time and having the cameras around, because that's different. It's really been seamless in terms of that. And in terms of the show and all that, I've seen the shows because I'm part of the editing process, with the rest of the crew there. So, with the football side of it, and content and all that. But Ted Cruz has done a wonderful job. Kevin's been in there. Ryan's been in there. George. So it's been good.
So you've seen him. You see it before. Like, does that mean you're not in front of the TV at 8 o'clock on Tuesday night to watch it? No, you haven't been because you've already seen it.
No, yeah.
You got other stuff to do at 8 o'clock on Tuesday night.
Yeah, we do that early in the morning.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Are you sick of people asking you about your beard and your haircut?
No, it's just to me, it's convenient for me. I mean, I don't know how inconvenient it is to shave every day, So I realize that now, but it's been really convenient for me.
Have you thought about, like, if you guys go on a long winning streak, you might not
Just
want to shave it. You might just let it go, right? Are you happy with like the length?
Grizzly Adams?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
let's grow it out,
right? You can't mess with a good winning
It's a great
streak,
call.
right?
Yeah.
Grizzly Adams. Yeah. Absolutely. That looked fantastic.
All right,
Big Ben the bear,
and
old number 9 the donkey.
Let's make
All
sure
that.
we get Simone Biles a new jacket. I know that was a big talking point. She had her Jonathan Owens Green Bay jacket. So we're going to talk to Tony Menlin later and make sure we get her a new jacket.
He can make that happen.
He can make it happen in a heartbeat. Have a great season. Everybody's pretty pumped and excited. I'm sure you can sense that and feel it. So have a great year. We appreciate you stopping by as always.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
You got it, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Head coach Matt Eberflus.